Hello and welcome to this week's Force.comcast episode where we're going to talk about injecting values for test methods using a testVisible constructor. So in front of us here we have an example class which is doing some sort of calculation for a bonus amount. And this is a fairly sort of contrived example, but hopefully will explain the process we're going through. Often in writing our code we'll have many different dependencies and values that we store as private variables, such as the salary here, within our class. However, we need them for our tests to ensure they run properly. You might have a series of different dependencies on other classes that return specific values. It might be on a web service that you're calling. It may be on a query that you're trying to do where you have a series of different objects you have to set up. And obviously it's quite expensive to create all those objects in memory to have the test run. What we've got here in this example class is just a calculation for a bonus value, this get bonus amount, which takes the salary and times it by, multiplies it by 10% or 0.1 to give us the bonus we should pay out for the year. And in this example class, we might end up retrieving the salary in one of many different ways. It could be that we're retrieving it using a query. We've got to set up a series of objects beforehand to get the salary value. We might be calculating an example salary using some sort of prior information, so the seniority, the role, the experience of the person. We might be using just an input field on a page. We could be calling a web service to get the salary from a HR system for the person. Any of these things in which we don't really want to test that functionality throughout the system. We're focused on, in our unit test, on just testing this single method. So we can write our test to do this. We just obviously have our get bonus, but how do we get the salary value injected? So what we've done is we've created a private constructor, and in there we pass in the salary amount, and what we do is we set the salary to be this value. We mark this private constructor up as @testVisible. What this means is that in a test method we can call this constructor even though it's a private method, just as if it was a public one. So what we can do is we can inject the salary amount value into the class for use in the test. If you've got a bigger system where you've got multiple different dependencies, you can also use this to do dependency injection for your different test methods. As I say, this is quite a simple example, but this works with more than just decimals and primitives. It can also work with custom Apex class types. So we've got this method here now, and in our test, all we do is we call the private constructor, passing in a value, and we just do an assertion. And if we run the test, we can see that the system comes back and it passes for us. This is a really powerful tool to use when testing applications where you have kind of difficult Apex logic, or you have many different dependencies and you don't want to have to instantiate them all the time. What you can do is you can also use interfaces and instances. So you could have, for example, say you were using you could have a my type, which is just an interface of a particular type that you were using. And what you can do is you could also then inject that through the system, so that in your standard constructor you might instantiate it to be a particular implementation, but using your test constructor it could just be a mock implementation for you to use. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have any feedback please leave it in the comments below or tweet us @force.comcast.